Recently, former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has pledged to punish nations that de-dollarize if he returns to the White House. Countries across the planet are seeking alternatives to the US-dominated financial system, even the US close allies. While speaking at a rally in Wisconsin on September 7, 2024, Trump said it is currently under major siege. Many countries are leaving the dollar. He warned those countries, "You leave the dollar and you are not doing business with the United States because we are going to put a 100% tariff on your goods." Trump also made similar remarks in an interview on CNBC on March 11, 2024. "I'm very much traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar," Trump pledged. If the United States lost its status as the issuer of the global reserve currency, he argued, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war, and we can't let that happen. Too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar, Trump complained. Before I proceed, I encourage you to consider liking the video and don't forget to share your views on the topic in the comment section below. Your feedback is invaluable for us and a wider audience around the world. Bloomberg reported in April that Trump and its economic advisors are discussing some of the possible ways aimed at punishing countries that de-dollarize, with threats of tariffs and sanctions. Discussions include penalties for allies or adversaries who seek active ways to engage in bilateral trade in currencies other than the dollar, with options including export controls, currency manipulation, charges, and tariffs. Bloomberg wrote, Trump has already expressed his intention to put tariffs of more than 60% on all Chinese goods. But why are countries around the world seeking to reduce dependency on the dollar? As a result of stringent sanctions imposed by the US on Russia in the aftermath of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and seizing the $300 billion Russian assets, countries have been seeking to reduce their dependence upon the US dollar and moving towards what is called de-dollarization. The fear of sanctions and seizing the dollar-dominated assets of countries encouraged them to reduce their dependency on the US dollar. Here the question is, what are the alternatives of the US dollar and which countries are leading the de-dollarization? It is well known that China is leading the de-dollarization process through the BRICS grouping to capture the currency market share in the world and increase its influence to challenge the United States on the global stage. The largest economy in BRICS, China, is the #1 trading partner of almost all the countries in the world. As China's economy has rapidly grown and its manufacturing abilities have advanced, it has also pushed for the de-dollarization of its international trade. According to the IMF, about over half of China's foreign trade is conducted in its own currency, yuan. Recently, China and Saudi Arabia renewed their currency swap agreement and signed a memorandum of understanding to explore developing a central bank digital currency. This step signals a potential move towards a multi-currency cross-border clearing system, which could further reduce the US dollar's dominance in commodity pricing and trading. Historically, commodities like oil and natural gas have been traded in US dollars, with the majority of transactions taking place on Western exchanges. However, the BRICS expansion, which now includes the United Arab Emirates, Iran, Egypt, Argentina, and Ethiopia, is expected to shift global oil market dynamics. If Saudi Arabia joins BRICS, then the BRICS group will control about 43% of global oil production. In 2023, 20% of global oil trade was carried out in non-dollar currencies. While the BRICS countries have been discussing a common currency, the grouping has also recently come up with an interpayment system which has been adopted by 159 countries. At an individual level, countries around the world including China, Russia, India, Iran, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Brazil have been moving towards trade in local currencies. China and Russia have de-dollarized more than 90% of their bilateral trade and trading in their local currencies yuan and ruble. The trade value between China and Russia reached a record high of 240 billion US dollars in 2023, a 26.3% increase from 2022. It is not just countries that are aligned in the Russia-China camp, but also countries that share robust ties with the US, like India, Brazil, UAE, Saudi Arabia, and ASEAN countries, Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam, who have also favored the reduction of dependence upon the US dollar for trade and started trading in local currencies. Here the question is, can Donald Trump protect the dollar and stop de-dollarization as he pledged recently? It is doubtful that Trump will stop de-dollarization completely. However, he can slow down the de-dollarization process for some time. As we know, the de-dollarization mainly started due to huge sanctions imposed by the US on Russia, the seizure of Russian assets in Western countries, and fear of similar sanctions in non-Western countries. Now, if Trump is threatening those countries with sanctions, then the US proving that the fear of non-Western countries was right and they will not stop de-dollarization completely. However, they can slow down the de-dollarization process for the short term as they are still dependent on the US dollar and the US for international transactions. As Trump focuses on economic nationalism and defending the dollar, the global consequences for countries like China, Russia, and other friendly nations such as India, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, which have been involved in de-dollarization discussions, will be significant. It would be pertinent to point out that while going in for trade in non-dollar currencies, there is a realization that the dollar will remain the dominant global currency in the coming years. Still, the global share of dollar is diminishing day by day. According to the International Monetary Fund, the dollar still accounted for 59% of official foreign exchange reserves in early 2024. The euro was next closest currency, holding nearly 20%. In 1970s, the US dollar accounted for 85% of global foreign exchange reserves. The US dollar has traditionally served as the world's primary currency for foreign exchange markets, commodity pricing, and international debt issuance. Despite the US economy comprising only 25% of global GDP, the dollar's outsized role highlights its exorbitant privilege. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos on important international topics.